the combine, some tennis or
TGL.
soccer around the world?
No.
What?
TGL, which I watched again last night because I love seeing pros hit a ball into a bed sheet. I do. You don't. I do. I really like it. Welcome to PTI, boys and girls. In today's episode, Kansas beats Houston. Kirk Cousins will be looking for a new team, and Brian Windhorst joins us for 5 good minutes. But we begin today with the San Antonio Spurs going into Detroit last night and beating the team with the best record in the NBA, 114-103. Victor Wembanyama had 21 points, 17 rebounds, and 6 blocks for San Antonio. On the other side, Cade Cunningham had one of his worst shooting nights of the season, finishing 5 for 26 from the field for the Pistons. Wilbon, what does this win mean for your Spurs?
Tony, I think the Spurs are showing themselves every night with every one of these games, and they got a great record against the top teams in the league this season. Hey, forget what these people are saying about we're too young. We're not. Let's do this now. And Wembanyama has a certain maturity about him that seems to spread throughout that team. By the way, a name nobody mentions, talk about mature and sensible and just a really bright light to have on your team, De'Aaron Fox. And he didn't have a great game last night, didn't need to. But they seem to know how to play, just together. And one person or one part of that team picks up another again the next night. They're playing Detroit. Detroit, a lot of us think, can win the East, Tony. I will say this quickly about the Pistons. We saw last night their weakness. They need another scorer to go with Cade Cunningham. Jalen Duren is fine, but he's not. They need another scorer or they're going to struggle in the playoffs. One game's a different deal. But Wembanyama, Tone, it's Wembanyama's world right now. I know you make fun of me, rightfully so, because I've fallen in love with him. Last night's one of those reasons why.
Yeah. You slurp him like you might as well be on the payroll. I mean, honestly, you may as well go everywhere with him and be on the payroll. So we understand it. Look, my tendency, as you know, is to try not to get carried away with isolated games, to try to say that none of these single matchups really means much. But piggybacking on what you said, the San Antonio Spurs are now 8-1 against the best teams in each conference. In the East, that is Detroit, New York, and Boston. And in the West, that is Oklahoma City and Denver. 8-1. It is hard to minimize 8-1. It's hard to knock 8-1 against these teams. They are 4-1 against Oklahoma City, which is the reigning NBA champion. So what happened last night just adds to their resume. And in fact, for most casual onlookers, alerts them to the fact that San Antonio could win the whole thing. They could. They are that good.
And Tony, that goes against everything you and I believe in philosophically. That some new kid on the block could win. We don't believe that, but yet those numbers you just mentioned they're making us at least pay attention in that direction.
Yeah, I don't want to go on forever about this because you could say that Cade Cunningham was not going to have a bad night like that again, but he was 3 for 16 once. He was 14 for 45 in another game. The defense that Stephon Castle put on him, limited him to 3 for 17 from 2-point shots. So, and I'll finish by saying this, and I respect Wembanyama a lot. Does this mean that San Antonio is necessarily better than Detroit? It does not mean that, but they have a leg to stand on now. They have a leg to stand on.
We agree. Still slurping, but we agree. Let's move to last night's big college game where 8th-ranked Kansas got a 13-point win over number 5 Houston. Trey White led all scorers with 23 points, and Darren Peterson actually played 30 minutes. And Kansas rebounded from Saturday's disappointing defeat to unranked Cincinnati. Tone, what's the bigger news to you? That Kansas got a bounce-back win, or that Houston has now lost 3 straight?
By far, the biggest news is that Houston has lost 3 straight. By far.
Wow!
It started out at number 6 Iowa State. They lost at Iowa State by 3. Then they were home against then number 4 Arizona, and they lost by 7. Last night at number 8 Kansas, and they lose by 13. Now Houston, for much of this, was ranked 2 in the country. You have to put that in perspective. Yes, they lost to very good teams, ranked teams. But the number that they lost by got progressively higher, from 3 to 7 to 13, which tells me that if they are in the first tier still, Houston, They are at the bottom of the first tier. They don't feel like a 2-seed or a 1-seed anymore. They feel more like a 3-seed to me, because as the season goes on, now is where they are stumbling. It's not big news that Kansas won, and that was very predictable. Kansas got bombed at home by unranked Cincinnati. It was the worst home defeat Kansas has had to an unranked team in Bill Self's 23 years, which is motivation, kids, to win the next game, as in, hello, Houston, you've got a problem. I mean, that's what happened.
That had to happen, though, Tony. It had to happen. Kansas had to come back like that because of the conditions you just set up. They had to, and they did.
They did.
Houston, I'll say this. You know, coaches, a lot of coaches have been behaving badly lately. Kelvin Sampson's not one of them. He sat there at a microphone the other night after his team lost, I think, the second of those 3 games, and he said, you know what? I'm not going to overreact or go crazy about this. This league, he's talking about the Big 8 or whatever they're called now, the Big 14,
Big 12.
Big 8,
Big 12. Big 12.
He said, here's what we know about every game. A really good team is going to win, and a really good team is going to lose. And he's talking about Iowa State, and he's talking about Kansas, and he's talking about Arizona, you know, relatively still freshly in from the Pac-12. He's talking about this unbelievable glut of teams at the top of that conference. Really good team going to win, really good team going to lose. That's some perspective. And I know he's agitated about losing 3 straight. Kelvin Sampson's trying to win a championship. Houston will be fine. They'll be fine this week. Watch.
We mentioned this yesterday, that it seems like all the good teams are playing all the good teams all the time. That's because the Big 12 and the Big 10 are very good. I'll go east. I'll go to I-95. I believe it's tomorrow night, number 6 UConn against number 15 St. John's with a 13-game winning streak.
That's
Later
good.
on over the weekend, Kansas, Arizona. So they're out there. They're out there. Let's move to the NFL. And the confirmation by the Atlanta Falcons that they plan to release quarterback Kirk Cousins on March 11th, the first day of the new NFL calendar. This will provide Atlanta with salary cap relief. More importantly, it once again makes the 37-year-old Cousins a free agent. Wilbon, do you see Cousins starting for an NFL team next season?
Yeah, he'll start some games. I think it's unavoidable. I mean, half the backups play anyway because you get injuries and you get underperforming players who are then benched. And so Cousins, I mean, there are places where they don't even know where the quarterback's going to be now. They don't have a starter. Pittsburgh, they don't have a starter. I'm not calling Aaron Rodgers their starter. Cleveland, I don't know what they have. And you can I think there's 6 or 7 teams that are in that situation. Miami doesn't appear to want the starter they have. So can Kirk Cousins go there and be at least a bridge starter? Yes. Temporary in whatever form? Yes. A couple of more years? Yes. So, and he's got his money. Kirk Cousins got his money without us going over it like Dak Prescott, every single day for like 9 years. Kirk Cousins got $100 million or what, close to it. And so he can go play for anything he wants, essentially, wherever he wants, if he thinks gives him a chance to either start or contribute to a team that matters.
Yeah, if the question is, do I see Kirk Cousins starting for an NFL team this year? I saw him starting for Atlanta this year, ahead of Michael Penix Jr. Kirk Cousins finished last year 4-0. He had 7 touchdown passes and 2 interceptions in those games. One of the teams he beat was the Rams. One of the teams he beat was Tampa Bay. He got his team, Atlanta, to where they tied for the division. They were eliminated on a match of cards, however that works. But he got them that far. At the end of the season, Penix was hurt. He was better than Penix. So I saw him starting there. All the teams you mentioned, I could see him starting. I could see him starting. Arizona doesn't know what it wants to do with its quarterback. But most of all, I could see him starting at Minnesota. I could see Minnesota getting a mulligan on letting him go the first time. Because, why do you make that face? What exactly has J.J. McCarthy proven
Tony,
to this point?
Play him. Nothing.
No,
but they got to play him because they took him. You know how teams cover their own butts when they select somebody in the first round.
And that's what Atlanta's doing. That's what Atlanta's doing with Penix. Okay. They're covering themselves. You know, the other thing they could do, he could go to the Raiders. The Raiders have the number 1 pick, Fernando Mendoza. Okay.
Bridge.
Do you want to start him in game 1? Or do you want to say, watch this older veteran and try to learn something? This just feels like another dumb move by Atlanta to me. Let's take a break. Coming up, why is Adam Silver suddenly so focused on tanking? We're going to ask Brian Windhorst.
We'll also ask him which team he sees winning the Eastern Conference. You're killing
Mike,
the Falcons.
Do you know the last time? Do you know the last time that Kansas lost consecutive home games to an unranked team? It was 1988-89. They're not going to do it. Consecutive home games. They're not going to do it.
No,
they win at home.
Pardon the interruption is brought.
The NBA is entering the stretch run for both the winners and the tankers, which makes it a perfect time for a visit from our great friend ESPN senior NBA writer Brian Windhorst, who's in LA. Let's start with this. Brian, I think tanking is a much bigger deal than Wilbon does. Why do you think Adam Silver is taking tanking so seriously now, and how do the teams feel about this?
3 reasons. Number 1, it's happening much earlier in the calendar than it ever has before. Number 2, the number of teams that are doing it. You could debate, maybe there's 8, maybe there's 10. It depends on who wants to be honest. Number 3, it's the way that they're tanking. It used to be that they would just deactivate players. And this started in the last couple of years, but is now very prevalent, where there are players who are in games who are being taken out of games, which makes it now within the 4 lines, which before it was outside the 4 lines. Obviously, if you look at the San Antonio Spurs, look at how great they are. Look at how their future is so amazing. They were built by tanking through the draft. The Thunder, they tanked, a year or 2. They didn't tank for 5 years. They tanked a year or 2. Dynasty teams are often built this way. And if you're a small market team like Memphis, like Salt Lake City, one of these other small market teams, this is how to go forward with it. Anybody would say this is the way to go, and that's what these teams are doing.
I'm so glad that you approach it that way, Brian. Let's follow up by asking you this. There's now been a reveal of anti-tanking measures, at least potentially. I don't believe any of them would work worth a damn, do you?
Because you've been around for a while, with all due respect. The first anti-tanking measure was the lottery. That was in the early 80s.
Yep.
Since then, there have been 5 adjustments to the lottery. Then there was the play-in tournament. So that's 7 adjustments. So whatever adjustment this is, even if it's inspired, will be the 8th. And guess what? It may work in the short term, but there will be a 9th, there will be a 10th. As long as you incentivize teams to move to a certain part of the standings to get better players, they will do so. And that is why what they are looking at is to try to incentivize winning. Whether or not they can get a system that actually works, that's another story.
Amen. That's about the most concise and likable answer I've heard. Tony's probably frowning. Let's talk about the Eastern Conference in the NBA, Brian, which I heard you talking about a little earlier today on NBA Today. So the Pistons lose last night. The Cavs and Knicks play tonight. Do you see a favorite? Boston, as Tony pointed out very early on, he was on that horse early, playing so well with Jaylen Brown. Do you see a favorite? What do you make of the East as we start this bell lap?
My 20 years plus of covering the NBA, all of the conversations that I have with scouts and executives and coaches, and all the games I watch, I can honestly say I do not know. Any of these top 4 teams, I can make a case for, I can make a case against. I think the one big thing is the one team that is going to can materially get better is obviously the Celtics. If they get Jason Tatum, that's a game changer. But just because they get him, I don't know how he's going to be. Tonight, DeJounte Murray is coming back from his Achilles tear with the New Orleans Pelicans. He is 13 months off the injury. Jason Tatum is 9 months and 3 weeks. He's less than 10 months off of it. Just to assume he's going to come back and be ready to go, I think is not fair to him. So I do think that is a huge, huge thing that could change the whole Eastern Conference. But I have no idea what actually is going to take place. I think it's exciting, but it's also going to be hard to predict, which I think is a good thing.
All right, I will get you out of here on this, and I will make not a large reference to tanking, which I think is dastardly. I think everyone should think it is dastardly, but let's go to this. Kawhi Leonard is averaging a career-high 28 points per game. What, if anything, have you heard about the status of the NBA's investigation into Pablo Torre's story about possible cap circumvention by the Clippers, in a no-show job?
Yeah. So first off, as far as I am aware, the investigation is ongoing. That is an unsatisfying answer, but that is what I believe is the case. When they complete the investigation, what is the process going to be? I don't think anybody knows. I know the reason that people are focused on this is that there's a concept that, oh my gosh, what if Kawhi is punished and his contract is voided and all of a sudden he becomes a free agent? I know that that is a thing that's out there. Well, a couple of things. I don't know what's going to happen. I wish I could say I've got all of the information and here's what's going to happen. I don't have it. So I think the NBA is still trying to get it. The second thing is people have continued to compare this to Joe Smith way back 25 years ago. Joe Smith was not punished. His contract was indeed voided, but he was not punished. So that's, if you're looking at precedent, I just want to point that out. The third thing is any NBA free agent, no matter how he becomes a free agent, would have to be a free agent by March 1st for him to be eligible to sign with another team. I find it very unlikely we're going to get any final on this by March 1st, whether it's punishing Kawhi, Clippers, anybody or not. So I think as far as Kawhi goes, I think this is going to be a next year thing. As far as the Clippers go, I think there's serious concern that they're facing repercussions. How serious? We're going to have to wait and see.
Yeah, it doesn't really feel like an aggressive investigation, but maybe it is. Thank you, Brian.
Brian,
thanks,
appreciate
guys.
you, dude.
Yeah. Let's take one last break. Still to come, has the UFL, Wilbon's favorite football league, opened the door to making long NFL field goals worth $4.
And is the time really now for a rematch between Mayweather and Pacquiao? What is this, the first week of PTI Revisited? What?
Yeah. Well, it's not like they're both in their late 40s or 50s. Wait. I think it is.
Wait, they actually
I think it is.
are. You know what's going to happen to Kawhi and the Clippers? Not a damn thing.
Nothing.
You heard it here
That's right.
first. Nothing.
No, the NBA
Zero.
does not want to investigate or punish. Does
Investigate
not
that.
want